Alright, hell yeah. So this is going to be an abstract tutorial. In R1 rafting, when you paddle this way, the boat turns that way, which is kind of a bummer. You have to find some way to get it back. And in this case, I have no momentum coming towards you. You know, you can paddle like this and then swing the boat back all day. I ain't getting towards you. So I'm going to show you kind of different ways to paddle that kind of make sense. One is, hey, let's just take a forward stroke your way and then a backward stroke. And guess what? I can still paddle towards the camera. Now this might seem counterintuitive, but we're going to take a look at that. So what's going on here is the fundamentals of R1 rafting is for every stroke that you take this way, you have to like counter-rotate the boat farther than where you were. So if I'm starting out straight, I'm going to take a paddle stroke that goes this way, but then I need to counter-rotate the boat past straight, and now I paddle against it. And in theory, you really never want the boat to come past straight because we're just going to counter-rotate it from about 0 towards you to about 15. And let's do that one more time and kind of talk about that. Alright, so the ideal angle is probably 15 degrees. I paddle towards you. Make sure your boat never actually kind of points exactly where you're going, but then I rotate back. Counter-rotate farther than 15, paddle to about you, counter-rotate farther than 15, paddle towards you. So with that, I mean, that's the bread and butter right there of R1 rafting, is just counter-rotate farther. So, and the reason why that's important is because you have all this boat that's a bunch of inertia that's really slow to paddle against. So if I'm at a dead 90, hell yeah, I can take 3 paddle strokes with a little bit of a pry, and now I actually have momentum coming your way. Where, if I'm actually facing you, it's really hard. And so if I'm facing you and don't want to kind of get too far that way, I have to be very precise and make sure I don't mess up my prize to keep that going towards you. So now we're going to show you why paddling back and forth works. Because in this case, all we do is emphasize, we use the back paddle stroke to kind of rotate the boat, and we use the forward stroke, maybe a little bit more subtle, to drive the boat forward. So here we go. So we're going to drive the boat forward, and then kind of sharply turn the boat. So we're using the back paddle to do that rotation, forward paddle stroke, back paddle rotation, and even just with a forward and back, I'm doing no pry out to the side. I can get my boat going towards you. Okay, the next step, you probably won't try that for more than, probably no one's going to try that. But what it shows is that you can kind of do the same thing for this next one. You can take a paddle stroke forward, and heck, let's just sweep out to the side. Get that rotation, paddle stroke forward, sweep out to the side. Now this might feel like total garbage, but hey, we're getting momentum. And this sweep out to the side, you can probably not mess up. One thing you might mess up is your shoulder, because actually sweeping to the side, it definitely engages probably parts of your shoulder that aren't very friendly. But again, I think anyone can sweep out to the side with force. And so, but not everyone when they R1 raft can actually pry, engage the water with, it really sucks. Like the first time you're actually trying to pry the boat, there's just nothing there. But I think we can all aggressively sweep the boat, do a stern sweep. So we're going to do that one more time, kind of aggressive. Paddle towards you, stern sweep out to the side. And just really focus on that stern sweep. And maybe I'm not doing a very good job because I'm just kind of turning it into a pry. So we'll do it one more time where I actually skim across the water so you can see that stern sweep. All right, and I'm even going backwards, so we're gonna take a stroke forward, stern sweep, and I went all the way to the side. Because you can bring the stern sweep all the way to the front of the boat if you need to. But still, I'm still working on keeping the boat within 30 and almost not towards the camera. And again, I'm not doing a very good job of stern sweeping. So that brings up one more thing that you can work on from that sweep. Is it is beneficial to actually turn your body and look at that pry. So I'm going to paddle forward, turn my body, and then just look at that sweep. And for whatever reason, turning your body and then looking at that pry or sweep, it definitely feels like it just engages it more. So let's do that same technique of kind of turning our body towards that pry to see if that can help us engage. We're just kind of going to do it like normal. Take a paddle. Heck yeah. Well, and this is where, so yeah, we're kind of doing the whole abstract of R1. This is where I think the two elements that I've made videos on, like your first solid pry, is kind of a combination of kind of a sweep out to the side, but more of a diving paddle. So we're diving our paddle in and then pushing out to the side and getting this hand on the tube and also pushing down. What that does is it gets this hand out of the equation of actually just pushing, and you're bracing the paddle against something, and now you can actually use this hand. Because when you get good at your pry, it'll be basically, heck yeah, position the paddle, and then this top hand basically does all the work. So we're going to take a look at that. We go forward, and then we're going to push down and push to the side. So that push to the side is the stern sweep. The push down, I call it stabbing, is definitely just a little bit something extra. So that might be where most people, you know, their R1 stroke starts. So let's take a look at that. Forward, and then push down. And sometimes I kind of pop up out of my seat, and damn it, you probably can't see much from that angle, so let's go this way. So forward stroke, push down, and I'm kind of pushing out to the side with that stern sweep. All right, heck yeah. And I guess, how do you take that to the next level? I think the next level is to get comfortable leaning out. And that brings up an idea that R1 raft is super uncomfortable. Like you're leaning onto this, you're leaning onto one hip the entire time. Like even me, I'm kind of uncomfortable right now. I just get used to it, and that comes with practice. Oh yeah, so if you can lean farther out, finishing the pry underneath the boat, and then that really helps this top hand. So the second you're starting to engage your pry and feel that, maybe with a stab or a push to the side, or just like, hey, every time I paddle I'm locking it in, and I'm keeping that or able to rotate the boat, I think the next thing is to dive the paddle in just a little bit deeper and then use the top hand to pull. So let's go back the other direction to show that. All right, so lean farther out. All right, my camera cut out, so I'm going to come back towards you. Really lean over, kind of just feel that pry. And again, practicing this might feel like total garbage. I don't feel any purchase at all. You know what I mean? You're just trying to maybe work on maybe where that paddle's positioned. All right, now we're going to bring it home, because this is kind of an amazing thing I was just kind of going over one of the strokes that I use just to get the job done, you know what I mean? And so, well, I guess we'll have to show it once, and then we're going to paddle that one. Basically, if I want a solid stroke that I can trust with a pry that I know is always going to be there, I'm really shocked that my pry is still a backwards paddle stroke, but just slightly out to the side. Obviously, if I do a backwards paddle stroke, I just have tons to bite against. And then all I'm doing is turning that quick backwards paddle stroke just a little bit out to the side. So it goes back full circle to this video of being like, oh, if I paddle forward and then stop my boat or counter rotate my boat with a quick back paddle, you know, you should practice that once, because man, that same bite that you feel while doing that is what you're working up towards with your pry. Your pry should just feel instantaneous and just with more power than you know what to deal with. And I think this is the stroke that I kind of use. And I don't know if you can see it, but here we go. So we're going to paddle towards you, and it almost feels like I'm actually just paddling backwards, but it just gives me so much power. Might take me a little bit to get up to speed, but it's just guaranteed, you know, very accurate if I need to get somewhere. So we're going to show it this way. All right, hell yeah. And I don't want to injure this arm because it's kind of intense. So I'm still trying to find a position for this paddle, and I'm bracing my hand on the tube. I'm trying to get the paddle deep. But in essence, I'm almost just doing a quick back paddle slightly out to the side. That gives me a really strong pry. So hell yeah, that's where we're going to end this video, because it takes you through the whole fundamentals of how the boat turns. But at the end of the day, it's like we want to have a bomber pry. And I think this could be one way to demonstrate how kind of a back paddle stroke, a little bit out to the side into a sweep, that can give you a very strong pry, especially when you're first starting out R1 rafting. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial. Thanks for joining me. Guess what? That's a video.